Welcome, everyone, to the Fire This Time's Fireside Chat. My name is Cezar Williams, and I am the artistic director of the Fire This Time Festival. It is my absolute pleasure to introduce each of you to Kaia Lyons, whose play Tower will be featured in our 10-minute play festival this year as part of season 14. Welcome to the Fireside Chat, Kaia. How are you?
Hi, thank you so much. I'm good. How are you?
I am great. I like to start this off in the conversation because then, we'll just get to the questions and everything else. But I do want to say your play Tower. So I'm an 80s kid. So Tower Records was just part of my entire existence. And I was really impressed how in a 10-minute play, your piece is just so true to the time. Like you caught the feeling, you caught the spirit, you caught what it was like to kind of work in this pre-cell phone age, this kind of pre-internet when when you had to go to get your tickets, like waiting online at Tower Records to get the tickets was a big thing, and how it was kind of a community. It was a meeting spot. It was a place where you and your friends would go to hang out and see the latest music. And if you were fortunate enough to work at a Tower Records, how adults would let you down, and disappoint you all the time. So I was just so appreciative, and I just so enjoyed your play. So thank you very much.
Thank you. That means a lot.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Do you mind if I ask you to tell us about the play?
Uh, sure. Would you like to know where it came from, or do you want me to break down kind of other parts of it?
Both. What was your inspiration? I guess would be the classic question there. And then is there anything you'd like the audience to know going in?
So the inspiration, I was very lucky, but I think my ability to be true to the time period is because my dad worked at a Tower Records in the 80s.
Okay.
And so this play was inspired by him and a story he used to tell me all the time about how he was running late to work and he was supposed to sell tickets that day. There was a long line of people and they wouldn't let him in because they thought he was skipping the line. He had to explain to them that none of them were getting tickets until he let them into the building.
Exactly. You need me.
Exactly. So that's where the play came from, was that story my dad used to tell me.
Great job. But is there anything about the play you'd like people to know going in?
Um, I want everyone to have a good time. I wrote it and it's a little silly, and I wrote it really to capture the feeling of community and everyone waiting for tickets and knowing that there's a big event coming up, and everyone sharing joy and energy in that way. So all the fun and silliness in the play, it's just me giving back to everyone else.
Um, are there any other projects that you're working on that you'd like to share or that you can share? Any information regarding?
Um, yeah, so I am a member of the early career writers group with Club Thumb
Hmm.
this year for 2022, 2023. And so looking forward into the future towards July, I think there is a chance that a new play I'm working on will be read as part of their Summer Works Festival.
Oh, congratulations.
Um, Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited. It is a little out there. I try to write ensemble plays. This is a two-hander. It's absurd, and I don't even like absurd theater, much less try to write it. So it's really stretching me in terms of, I guess, my skill set and my comfort zone. And it doesn't have a title yet, but I am looking forward to eventually sharing that with the rest of New York.
Awesome. Very good. That is so cool. Do you mind if I ask where did you grow up?
I grew up in Middle Tennessee.
Middle Tennessee? Is that
Hmm.
the name of the town, or that's just the area
That's the region. So outside Nashville.
outside of Nashville? Okay. What were you like as a young person growing up in Middle Tennessee?
Ooh, what was I like? That is a great question. I think I was maybe a little too serious.
Hmm.
Definitely more serious than I am now. In high school, I thought I was going to be a politician.
Okay.
Um, I did Model UN and
Mhm.
that whole racket, and I thought that's who I was going to be. I did earlier have dreams of being on Broadway, and then I thought that wasn't practical. So yeah, I don't know, I was a nerdy kid in Middle Tennessee for sure.
Yeah. Were you always into theater or into the arts?
Yeah, I was when I was maybe 4 or 5, my church put me in the church choir because that's what they did as soon as kids could read,
Mhm.
was put them in the choir. And then it was, the annual Christmas play, which was a different play every year. And so theater, and especially singing, but theater and plays, musicals, that was part of life early on. And I just never really gave it up.
Oh, okay. Cool. Speaking of community, how were you first introduced to the Fire This Time community?
Um, the fire this time was always kind of within, I guess, my knowledge, kind of on the outskirts, especially before I lived in New York. It wasn't something I was quite as familiar with. I think my real introduction was actually Philip Christian Smith,
Yes.
who was a playwright, I think, last season.
Yes.
And so heard about it from him and really kind of became aware, followed on Instagram, all the things, tried to really plug in and see what that was all about.
What is something great about you that very few people know?
Um, so it is funny that you asked this question because very recently I was told that there was something about me that should be like my leading fun fact, like everyone should know that I previously hadn't considered that interesting.
Mm,
So taking the advice of RJ Tolan and Graham Gillis at Ensemble Studio Theater, I will tell you what they told me to tell everyone,
yes.
which is that I have a one-page, one-person play titled Potato.
A one page, one person play titled Potato. Now, the person playing a potato,
No, the person is peeling potatoes.
peeling potatoes. Wow. I almost want you to read the play right now to me, but I'm gonna. Do you act? Do you perform on stage?
Not since high school.
Would you
Um,
consider playing potato by any chance?
I would consider performing Potato. I would think about it.
That is so much fun. Do you you're like you said, you enjoy writing ensemble pieces. Is there anything else about your work that you think is a common through line in it?
I've noticed recently that more and more I kind of see the end of the play before I see any other part of it.
Mm,
And I think that, by and large, it's not something that I feel like I've been able to change my endings, which makes my plays all feel slightly tragic in
wow.
the sense of like, like ancient tragedy where everyone understands like how the story is going to end. And so you're kind of along for the ride and not because, there's like a surprise at the end. So my writing process has kind of taken on that tone almost of just like I'm telling everyone a story, but like it's not a surprise, I guess, for me at least when I'm telling it. So I don't know if that's a theme, but that's something that I've noticed recently.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about your play Tower. I don't think I knew the end when it began. I do know that I was being introduced to all these wonderful characters who are in this very unique uh, conflict, I'll say. But yeah, I don't think I knew how it was going to turn out.
Well,
Um,
with 10-minute plays, you have a little less time to kind of let the end settle in. I feel like
yeah,
you get there a little quicker than
yes,
with,
a little bit,
than with
just a
a
tad
2 hour
bit.
play.
Yeah, did
But
you
yeah,
did
and
you
that,
did you enjoy
sorry,
writing? Did you enjoy writing a 10-minute play?
it was hard. I am not good at 10-minute plays usually. It's tricky.
People
I
think it's
like
easier. It is harder.
much harder. I like having space, and I think maybe I sometimes take advantage of the space of like 90, 100 pages. Um, so it pushed me to really make sure that I was telling one full, complete story in
Yes.
that time frame. No one should ever think it's easy.
No, no, no. Especially when, like you say, you're telling a complete story as opposed to something that feels more like an excerpt of a longer piece. So no, just really, really well done. if you could going back to Middle Tennessee, is that what you call it? Middle Tennessee. If you had a time machine and you could go back and see young Kaia, what would you tell them?
That's hard. Um, I I think I would say don't change anything that you're doing, but don't be surprised if it doesn't turn out the way you think it will.
Hmm.
So I was not expecting to be a playwright at any point, even when I was, performing in church choir. There was no part of me that thought I was ever going to write a play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So and a lot of the materials that we've seen, you are credited or listed as as your initials.
Mm-hmm.
What is the evolution of that?
Um, I can say this because I already talked to my mom about it, so it's clear. I love my name. At a certain point, I didn't love the way my name looked written down.
Hmm.
And partially because, that's it when you're writing, like you're typing, you're looking at it, you're not always listening first. And partially because I think a lot of my plays I write thinking that someone will read them and not just perform them. How my name looked was relatively important to me.
Wow.
And so I love my name. I love my first and last name. I kept my initials.
That's beautiful. And I don't know if this helps. You probably already know this, but there does seem to be, and I saw this even with the plays that were submitted. There does seem to be this common theme of Black artists wanting to be seen, but also wanting to control the manner in which they are seen. And so you saying that about your name and just the reading of it, how somebody would visually, not how they would, hear it, but the way how they would visually see it, I think kind of fits in this whole moment. I don't know if it's a movement, but this moment that we're in where that matters. That
Yeah.
matters.
I love reclamation of all things. And if that includes the way that we choose to be seen, perceived, viewed, I'm really happy to be part of the moment that Black artists are having.
Yeah, it's beautiful. If you were not doing what you are doing now, what would you be doing?
Hmm. I would be writing plays just with fewer people paying attention to them.
You would always be a playwright regardless.
I would always be writing something for sure. I thought about choosing nonfiction first
Mhm.
instead of playwriting.
Mm.
And that just wasn't what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I'm doing what I love to do.
Oh,
Very
that's
lucky.
oh. And we are lucky to have you as part of season 14 of the Fire This Time Festival. Thank you so much. Everyone, thank you so much for taking some time out of your busy days to watch this, to get to know Kaia a little bit better. And hopefully you can make it to the Fire This Time, season 14. Kaia's play Tower, which is amazing, will be featured as part of our 10-minute play festival. Thank you again and hope to see you soon.